So Disney has just given their fourth quarter earnings call. Bob Iger had a lot to say in regards to things to do with profitability, with their movies. He ignored questions about ideology in their films. And I'm going to go through a bunch of these numbers with you because what I think that they like to do is I think that they like to throw a bunch of details, info, and numbers at you to try and obfuscate how people actually feel about these companies and whether they're doing better or not. And obviously Disney had a very rough 2023 and a very rough 2022. So we're going to go through some of these numbers. And of course, channels like Valiant Renegade went over the fourth quarter earnings call in depth. And I highly recommend you check out his channel and those videos after you watch this. But I want to go through some of these numbers and I want you to compare it with how you feel as an audience member Disney is doing now, because I think that they use stats and they use numbers in a lot of ways to try and obfuscate the problems going on in these companies. So did you get a chance to look through some of these numbers?
Well, I just think it's funny, first off, that you can have a 3-hour long earnings call with all of your investors interrogating you, basically. And you can completely obfuscate from all of the box office numbers that we have been talking about for the past year in 2024. And he's just like, look over here. Look at how well the Disney Cruise Line is doing. And look at Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine. Ignore everything else. And he basically admitted that everything successful that Disney has going on right now is not Disney's. It's all...
They own it, but they didn't create it.
It's
right?
all consolidating with Hulu and ESPN, and now they're trying to put sports gambling into their business model.
What's funny about that is Disney isn't really an entertainment company anymore. It's an IP farm that's designed to just buy up properties and then put stuff out. Look, to be fair, this is a Disney earnings call. This isn't a Marvel earnings call. Disney is more than just their movies and their brands, so that's fine with me. But let's go through some of these numbers, and I just want you guys to get an idea of what they were touting as what was successful for them. So they touted 122.7 million Disney Plus subscribers. That's 174 million if you include Hulu. Right.
But I just want to add, they're saying, oh, our streaming business is doing so well. We're making so much more money. That's literally because they've done like 12 price hikes.
Yes.
Well, over time. Like they're not gaining new subscribers as much as they are just charging the existing subscribers more money.
Well, it was up 4.4 million subscribers, which is a little bit better than what they had anticipated. The biggest thing that I saw, the most incredible part that I saw, which is really, really important right now, is that 60% of those are ad tier subscribers. And I was actually just reading before we started recording this video that Freevee, which is the free ad-supported tier of Amazon, has been completely wiped out, and they're just rolling all of their stuff into Amazon Prime. So you'll still have to get, ads on some things, but it's no longer a separate streaming service at all. Like you don't have to. It never made any sense anyway, because you could watch Freevee stuff on Amazon Prime, but you couldn't watch Amazon Prime stuff on Freevee. So why did you even bother having a separate app to begin with, other than maybe an easier way to track analytics? Right. But profitability increase of 321 million, which is a big jump from a loss of 387 million at the same time the year before. Again, I still find it funny that they operate on such razor thin margins when you think about the money that's spent on each production. If you think about the $200 million they spend to make most of these movies.
Yeah, well, it's just hubris at this point.
And it was the first studio this year to hit $4 billion. I do think that that's relevant, and me and you understand that most of that comes from Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2.
Right, but everything else was a flop, so they're not mentioning it.
Yeah,
like he's just.
I mean, the whole point of an earnings call is to glaze, the stuff that went really, really well, and to glaze over the stuff that you don't want to talk about.
He's characterizing 2024 as the year that Disney made its comeback, and I just don't think, as you said, that the public sentiment feels that way. I don't think that the public feels like, oh, yeah, like Disney was just hit after hit this year. Like no one really felt that way.
I mean, even if it was, I think it takes more than 1 year for that to iron out, right? So what they have this year is they had several successful movies. They've got a couple more coming down the line. But what they really have to do is to get 2 or 3 years like this before they can get anywhere near rebuilding public confidence.
Is that realistic?
I mean, that really depends. That depends on whether Bob Iger does what he said he was going to do. Remember last year he said, look, we can't afford to get ideological anymore. We only can afford to be creative and start making creative properties again. And he said that they were going to start consolidating down. He said they were going to start limiting the amount of stuff that they put out. That is not true for the next year, at least as it relates to Marvel. They are still releasing 3 Marvel films next year and a host of television shows. But I don't think that the public sentiment really has shifted as much as they think that it has.
So one of the investors asked him about ideology in content. And this was about how the ideological approach of the Disney company will change among other business matters. And it literally says Bob Iger ignored the question. And shifted focus elsewhere. He weaved.
I mean, that's his job.
That's
his
move.
job as CEO, is to weave and put it back onto things that they think that they can focus on that are better for the company's image.
Right.
I just think that they need 3 years of this. They need 3 years of billion-dollar movies multiple times a year, because they were doing, look, when they were releasing Avengers movies and Marvel movies every couple of months, they were getting billion-dollar movies all the time. Okay. And that growth fueled what ended up becoming a very, very successful Marvel Phase 3, which made Disney feel like they couldn't be beat, like they were undefeated. And last year was the first year in like 10 years, I think, somebody can fact check me on that they didn't win the top spot as far as cumulative box office revenue. And that's a huge loss for a company of Disney's stature to take that mantle, to take that award year after year after year. He keeps touting award nominations that they're getting. Everyone knows that nobody actually cares about anything like that.
It says Bob Iger mentioned the 60 Emmy Awards that Disney received and noted that so much of it came from their acquisition of Fox. He also specifically called out Avatar and Hulu as justification for their $70 billion investment in Fox.
They're still paying that off.
Essentially, he admitted that the Disney company didn't make most of its current successful properties and stated that the company sees no need for further acquisitions at this time.
What's funny is like Hulu is the one streaming service that I have that I consider indispensable.
You've gotten rid of everything else?
I like, if I had to, I got rid of Peacock.
Yeah.
I got rid of Netflix. I ended up like going half with someone on Paramount Plus. But the only one that I consider indispensable that has endless shows that I rewatch is Hulu, and none of them are new. They're all like Shogun did really, really well this year, but that's not the reason that everyone's coming back to Hulu. They're coming back to Hulu because they have a large back catalog of full series dramas. They have a large back catalog of their Fox television shows. That was basically what they were paying for when they bought 20th Century Fox. Now they're expecting a sub decline in the next quarter, and they're getting you ready for that ahead of time. But a lot of this, like you said, it's consolidating down with the fact that they're now working to promote ESPN really, really far again. I did see, did you mention at the beginning that they want to introduce sports betting to the ESPN app? It would be truly shocking if they did that on the Disney Plus side, because they're saying that they're going to be putting
kids on it.
Well, they're going to be putting an ESPN tab on Disney Plus. So that if they put the ESPN tab on Disney Plus, does that mean that you, by and large, are also going to have access to ESPN sports betting on there?
This just shows how desperate they are.
Yep.
Really.
You
said they're expecting a decline in subscribers on Disney Plus, not just because they've increased the price over and over again, but also because every Disney Plus original show is just hot garbage. So it's just miss after miss for them, for everything that they make as original content. And there's no reason to keep the subscription. So they added this new feature where you can, instead of canceling your Disney Plus subscription, you just pause it.
Yeah. That's existed forever. Netflix has had that on their subscription
Well, now Disney
forever.
Plus is adopting the same thing because they're worried about people canceling.
And that's true about Disney Plus television shows. Look, they were touting Agatha as a success. And to be fair, full disclosure, I actually enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
God forbid. But I enjoyed the show. And they touted it as a success, not because it did the best numbers, but because it was cheaper to make, which that is, to their credit, something that they should be doing, and something that we talk about all the time on here is like, you need to get the cost down on these productions. So if Agatha isn't even doing She-Hulk numbers and She-Hulk isn't even doing WandaVision numbers, the things that they're touting for next year are Daredevil Born Again, which I will be watching, and Andor Season 2, which has been said largely to be the best thing that they've done Star Wars at Disney other than maybe Rogue One.
Best, but not
like Star Wars at all.
Best, but not popular.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's the problem.
Liked by the people that are part of your core audience, but didn't reach a wider margin.
Yeah.
They have yet to find another show other than The Mandalorian, which was both something that traditional Star Wars fans loved and reached more people. But most people understand that's because of Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, basically merch sales and theme park sales.
Look, you can't hate them for, like, they are more than just movies and television. They are a theme park brand as well, so they have every right to tout that as something successful. But I don't know if Bob Iger can, maneuver around this. He's looking for a new CEO. They're looking for a replacement for Bob Iger right now. They're debating on whether they're going to go outside of the company, not promote from within, but, take somebody from outside the brand. If they bring the guy in from EA, I think that would be absolutely hilarious. But I don't think that 1 year is enough to turn around the general public sentiment. It's funny because I thought that it did for myself. I'm like, look, these movies are hitting. They're making a lot of money on them. The ones that they are succeeding on are merch cows, meaning like Deadpool and Wolverine. I still see people wearing Deadpool shirts all the time. They're finding success along the way. They've got Moana 2, which is supposed to make about $100 million opening at the box office. So they have had successes. The problem is you cannot turn around that many years of ideological rot and problems in just one go.
Even though he dodged that question about the ideological approach, he did reiterate that they want to re-inject creativity and put that at the forefront. So he's at least feigning optimism and excitement about the future of the company, but at the same time ignoring all of their fails. Like, he refuses to hold the L of Snow White.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.